Welcome to FishOMania 2. We're at the Hallcroft Fisheries at Retford in Nottinghamshire for the richest event in the world of match fishing. Now, last year, Ian Turner won a thrilling battle to net the biggest prize in the history of the sport. This year, 16 of the UK's top anglers are here. 15 go home empty-handed because it's winner take all, £25,000. The weather's a bit damp and chilly. It's overcast, but that hasn't stopped the crowds coming to watch 5 hours of continuous fishing competition, including 10 weigh-ins. Well, what are they going to be looking for in the nets? Well, they're going to be looking for bream. They're pretty plentiful here. The big target, though, the carp. They go up to about £55. Also plentiful, the roach. Now, the man behind it all is Barry Hearn, and he's still amazed at the impact he made on the sport last year.
I was absolutely astonished. I thought it was just a crazy idea that, we sat there throwing around, and when it became a reality and when the crowds came and the drama of the last half an hour between, the first and second guys, and Ian Turner came up from nowhere from 13th after the first hour to nick it right in the last couple of minutes. I mean, crikey, I wish I could arrange things like that in some of the other sports, because that type of drama, you couldn't beat it.
On to the all-important draw for pegs. Now, local law says it's the middle to high numbers that are favoured here at Retford. Among the pre-tournament favourites, Phil Kowalczyk and Stuart Yeomans. 3,200 competitors entered nationwide. And when we look at the second half of the draw, you'll see at peg 14, Ken Farrell, the only man who made it through from last year. Standing by on the riverbank is Master of Ceremonies, Alan Hughes.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the Hallcroft Fisheries, where today Daily Mirror sponsored this year's FishOMania. 16 competitors going for a first prize of £25,000. Gentlemen, to the final countdown. Let fishing commence.
So fishing underway as we join our commentary team at Hallcroft, Jan Porter, Andy Little and Jeff Stelling.
And as you can see, the action getting underway. There'll be a weigh-in, by the way, every half hour here. We'll give you running scores and let you know just who's in front, just who's trailing. Things can change dramatically, of course, in the course of half an hour. What's going on at the moment, Andy?
Right, what they're doing, they're actually putting a bit of bait in the swim. See that pot on the end of the pole there? He's putting a few maggots in and some other bits and pieces, putting it out into the swim and then tipping it down to try and draw the fish into his particular area. As you know, there's a bait restriction on here. They can only use maggots, sweet corn, luncheon meat and bread, and there's no ground baiting. So
why is that?
The fishery owner, John's just decided that it's more fair for the competition. Love it or hate it, you've got to live with it. So some people will be anti, they would rather put ground bait in, but it makes it fair for everyone. And there's a bait limit as well. There will be a limitation on the amount of bait they're allowed to use. So there's going to be a lot of gambits out there, whether they're going all maggots, they're going to have a few worms or a bit of sweet corn as well. But initially they're going to get some bait into the water. You can see them all baiting up there, and then they'll start fishing in earnest.
I mean, how personal is selection of bait? Do some people have particular favourites which they use almost relentlessly?
Well, maggots are the mainstay of bait for the type of fishing that they're going to be doing. They're going to be trying to catch these bream, the small skimmers, and that's what they're going to go for. If they want to go out for a bigger bonus fish, if they're a bit behind, they might go on sweet corn or luncheon meat to try and catch a bigger carp. So, you never know.
Sweet corn and luncheon meat, lucky fellas, I missed breakfast this morning. It's making my stomach go. I can tell you that it would be nice, wouldn't it, for them to get off to a cracking start and to get some fish in this first half hour.
Yeah, they're going to want to settle down. They'll be quite nervous at the moment. They're going to want to settle into the match. You notice the majority of them have gone out on the pole to start with. They're going to be fishing between 9 and 12 metres, I guess, out there in about 6 foot of water. They want to bring some fish into the swim, get into a bit of a rhythm and try and start catching fish on a regular basis.
Well, there's Ken Farrell, the only man, of course, to have reached successive FishOMania finals. He's the only man who qualified last year and this, finished 10th eventually last year, is hoping to go a few places better, of course, this time round. How would you rate Ken Farrell's chances?
I think they've all got a very, very even chance, if I'm honest. The conditions are perfect. The wind's blowing down there. I should think the fish are pretty well even distributed all around that end of the lake. The one nice thing is we've had this long, crazy summer with hot days, still conditions. The wind's now got up just in time for FishOMania 2, and there'll be a lot of oxygen in the water, there'll be a lot of fish moving, and they've got the greatest opportunity. I'm glad it's turned out like this. If it would have been really hot and still, it would have been a struggle for him.
Ken Farrell, there he is. He's 49 years of age. He comes from Chingford in East London, says he's coming to win it this year. Tell you what I was interested in, Andy, is that a lot of people have the impression that fishing is an older man's game, but there are a lot of young guys here, 25 and 26 years old.
Yeah, it's a sport that anyone can do at any age, you know, and there's a lot of good up-and-coming youngsters now. You've only got to look at these people, these lads that are coming through, 11, 12 and 13 years old, already taking part in some of these matches, and they go on to be juniors, and then eventually, if you look down the list of guys, they've all been fishing for a long time. It's the bug that you get that seems to stay with you for life.
Well, Ken really has made it his mission to get to today's final. He entered all 8 qualifying heats. Ken, you really are very, very prepared and hyped up for today's event, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so. Practice had been a bit difficult, but we're here today and we should see what's going to happen now.
How much practice have you actually put in down here?
Fished the place 10 times. Some of those have been matches which have been a waste of time because they've not been on the same pegs.
And what's the fishing actually been like?
It's been very difficult. I've not been on a good peg yet. I've had double figures every time I've been here, but not big double figures.
Well, you actually said to me at one of the qualifying heats that you thought you'd become obsessed with FishOMania. You must have woke up this morning jumping for joy, looking out at the weather and knowing you'd done so much preparation.
No, I didn't wake up jumping for joy. I had a bad headache. So, anyway, it's gone now.
Do you think the weather's going to play a big part today? Because it seems perfect conditions, very cloudy.
It does look right, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of movement in the water, which is good. But don't seem to be much activity with the fish at the moment. It's early days.
Good luck.
There's Ken Farrell. Let's wish him the very best of luck, second successive year. Let's take a look, if we can, where peg 14 is, which is where Ken is fishing from. Whereabouts would that be,
He's
Andy?
going to be around about here, just there. So he's in it's a good area. In actual fact, they've all got good areas, and Ken, as he said, he's fished it 10 times now, so he will know the water very well, and you know what to expect and what to try and extract out of that swim.
We're talking about pegs here, Andy, but what sort of extent does a peg cover? What sort of area of water?
Well, in actual fact, these are much wider than normal here. They're about 15 yards apart, I would guess, looking at them. And in fact, these pegs are probably covering the equivalent to about 3 normal pegs. So they've got a lot of room, and they got all the way out to the island to fish.
Ken says he entered all 8 qualifying heats, and he's been here 10 times to practice for this. I mean, that sounds real fanaticism. Is that typical?
No, that's what they're about. That's what these guys will do. They will go to any extreme to win this competition. The hype is enormous. When it first started, there was a lot of, I wonder if it's going to really succeed. You couldn't buy a ticket for these events for love or money at the moment. It really has become that big. It's the talk of the town everywhere, and it's fantastic. It's the greatest thing ever to happen to angling.
Does it really help coming here to practice in
Of
advance?
course it does, yes, absolutely. If you can have some insight into what the water's about, then yeah, you've got a much, much better chance of succeeding.
Well, of course, Ken was lucky enough to get here. I guess there were plenty of guys who went to all 8 qualifying heats and didn't get here.
Absolutely, yeah, and some of the best in the country. You've got to remember is that Bob Nudd, 3 times world champion, he actually went to quite a few of the qualifiers, never made it.
Cost them a fortune and, of course, a lot of time as well.
Yeah, but what's at the end of it, though? 25 grand.
Well, of course, one of the favourites to pick up that £25,000 is Robin Morley. There he is, 38 years of age, comes from Reading. He's a fishing tackle salesman, and he's talking to Charlie Thomas.
Now, Robin, how's it going at the moment? When you got the draw last night, what were your thoughts when you got it?
My initial thoughts were, after looking at it yesterday, I didn't really fancy this peg, but the wind has dropped dramatically from yesterday, and the conditions should really favour this end of the lake with the wind blowing this way. So I'm fairly optimistic now. A few people have said this is a good peg, and we'll just see. Normally on any match, you would want the wind blowing into your bank where you're fishing. It normally moves the fish around, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Now, you mentioned the wind. Is it important to have the wind blowing towards you so that the fish are swept towards you? Is that the theory?
Well, normally you always favour a peg with the wind blowing at you, especially on a still water. It normally helps the fish and moves the fish in towards the bank where the wind's blowing. With all the crowds here today, we'll just have to see whether if it actually worked out or not.
Now, what sort of line are you using today?
I'm using £3 hook link to a size 16 hook, and I've got £5 main line. The reason that may sound a bit heavy is that hopefully in practice we caught a few better fish, a few carp, and it didn't seem to put the skimmers off, so it's sort of a bit of insurance for when you do actually hook a bigger fish.
Now, you've been installed as one of the favourites. Does that put a bit of pressure on you?
Not really, no. I mean, I think the pressure's probably on Sean. He's actually the favourite. There's more, seems to be more, it's worried other people other than me, you know. I'm not too worried about it at all.
How do they actually decide who's going to be favourite? Is it on your form this season?
I think it's really on the form over the past few years, and as whether you're a known angler or not. You know, I fished one of the top teams in the country and fished in quite a few big events before, so the crowds and everything don't really worry me unduly.
All right, well, all the best this afternoon, Robin. It's all quiet at the moment.
Thanks.
Oh, there's John Parrott in action now. I wonder, do we have a catch? We do. John Parrott, well, there we are. Hidden talents. And a nice round of applause as well.
This is nothing really.
And doesn't he look pleased?
Want to look it? Oh no, you can do that, sir.
I think he has got a bit of expert advice there, though, Andy.
I think so. I think he's got a little skimmer there, which is
Clean the
what
cue
most
ball,
people are
please.
going to be after. So difficult to say. Yes, a skimmer.
How are you mugs doing up there?
There it is. It's a start, though, isn't it?
It's a
You've got to start
start.
somewhere.
Absolutely.
We should say, of course, all our celebrity teams are getting expert advice, aren't they?
Oh yes, yes. You've got some of the best in the world there, showing him how to do it.
Welcome back to FishOMania 2 from the Hallcroft Fisheries at Retford in Nottinghamshire. We're some 26 or 27 minutes into the action now. 3,200 anglers set off in pursuit of this title. Don't forget, 3,184 have fallen by the wayside. 16 are still going strong at present, and the fish are just starting to bite here at the Hallcroft Fisheries. Now those fish are starting to bite. Martin Walker, 30 years of age, and well, he says that the enjoyment from fishing comes from being with your mates, but probably also from picking up a cheque for £25,000. Enjoys cooking, fish presumably, and now he can, because he's landed one today, and he's now with Liz Hobbs.
Yeah, and there's a lot of his mates with him today as well, aren't there, Martin?
Yep, there's a few behind me. I've got Ben Bray down for the day, holding my hand. And there's a few of the family up there, I think.
And they've all come down from Romford, or come up from Romford in Essex.
Yeah, a bit of a trot that was.
Now, there's an awful lot of kidology, should I say, going on in normal match fishing, but it's not possible here because we are weighing it every half an hour. But what you've managed to catch so far is just a skimmer.
Yeah, I've had a little skimmer, probably about 4 ounces. It's going to be a slow start. I would imagine give it an hour and it should start getting better once a bit of feed's gone in. But, yeah, only one little skimmer, I'm afraid. It's all I can muster for you.
There's going to be a few of those to the pound.
Yeah, definitely. Need a few to win it. A few skimmers, definitely. I don't know how anyone else is doing. Have you noticed if they've caught any of the other anglers?
I think we've got one at peg number 9, and that's about it so far.
Right. So I've got my nose in front, eh?
How right you are. Peg 9 has landed something. It's a good day to be a Martin, isn't it? Because Martin Richards is at peg 9. 26 years of age, so he's one of the youngest anglers taking part in FishOMania 2. Has he got something? Well, let's find out right now from Charlie Thomas.
Yes, here we are with Martin Richards. I reckon it was a pretty close thing between him and John Parrott, who got the first fish here. Martin, what have you got in here?
One skimmer.
Skimmer? What is that?
It's a young bream. Before they go black and get bigger. They get big and black, you just call them slabs or bream.
Now, I noticed that you're using a much shorter line than most of the other guys around the lake at the moment. What kind of line are you using?
Well, I'm using a tip rod, so I've got a fish further over. I think the fish have got to be pushed over, so I'll start there and they'll tell me if they come in close or not.
It seems to be paying off at the moment, doesn't it?
Well, it's got a fish anyhow.
I noticed also that you're using a kind of catapult to bung a few things into the water. What does that do?
Well, we'll just catapult bits out, try and keep the fish interest on the edge. Everybody else is feeding inside, so I'll feed it as well. And when they catch fish, I'll swap over to the inside. Try to keep fish on this at the moment.
This is Martin Richards. This is the first weigh-in. Now we're going to have half-hourly weigh-ins right throughout the day here on FishOMania 2, so you'll know just how the competition is progressing. And well, this is the first weigh-in taking place now. What exactly happens here, Andy?
Well, what they're going to do, they've got 2 keep nets basically. They're going to weigh the fish every half an hour so it can keep us an update to what's happening. The fish are then returned into the main keep net so we can see exactly what they've caught at the end of the day, so the accumulated weights, if you like. So they're going to get around these pegs pretty quickly, and it's unique really that everyone will know what the rest of the competition is about.
Right,
Very
so the opposition know precisely what's happening.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, at the moment, of course, it's very early days, and as you see, not too many fish about just at present. Is that a general sort of situation, Andy, that it does take a little while before the fish start to bite?
Yeah, you expect it to build up as the match goes through, as the guys get to know the swim that's in front of them, as the fish get more confident to feed on their bait. You notice Martin Richards, he actually went out on the feeder, using his head a bit, still baiting up on that inside line, so they may get that back a bit later. Probably fished out at about 20 yards, something like that, on the feeder. The fish have been pushed out with all the activity around the bait. Nick that early fish, you might get 1 or 2 extra ones. That'd be a bit of a bonus at this stage.
There is Martin Richards. Don't forget, then, 1 weigh-in taking place now, 9 more still to come. Martin Richards, by the way, here, he says that his favourite method is waggler, Andy. Now, that sounds vaguely obscene to me. What does it mean?
No, this is a running line method using a float that's fixed the bottom end only. And the idea being is that you can present a bait very, very accurately without the float blowing about in the wind. The line is actually sunk beneath the water from the rod tip to the bottom of the float. Great control, and you can fish it much further out than the roach pole.
Yeah. Well, you can see some heavy cloud in the background, but I'm pleased to say that the sun is peeking through and the wind doesn't seem quite as stiff as it was a little earlier. We've had weigh-in number 1 here on FishOMania 2, and this is the state of play at the moment. The 2 Martins leading at present. It's Martin Richards with that 12-ounce catch of his. Martin Richards, who comes from Harleston in Norfolk, who says, by the way, that he hates sunburn. Well, there's no danger of that today. Martin Walker is in second place with 6 ounces. And Ron Wilkinson weighing in with a massive 1 ounce at the moment. Ronnie, who comes from Thornaby in Cleveland, which actually is where I'm heading immediately after FishOMania 2 has finished today. He says that living in the northeast, you have to drive a long way to fish decent venues. Well, he's driven quite a way to get here today, and his reward so far, a princely 1 ounce. He'll be hoping for a little more than that, Andy.
But it's that 1 ounce that might actually win the end of the day, so don't knock it too much. It might only be won by that margin.
He says living in the northeast you have to drive a long way to find decent fishing venues. Is that true? Are the best fishing venues centred in any particular part of the country?
Generally speaking, the Midlands and the South tend to be the best for match fishing. As you get further north, the fish are a bit thin on the ground and the catches are that much lighter. We've got a lot of Pacific-made waters down here for match fishing in the Midlands and right the way down to the South. So yeah, you get a lot of popular waters around here. It's great.
Well, I don't know whether Ronnie Wilkinson will know that he's in third place just at the moment with that princely 1 ounce or not. But that was the first weigh-in. You've seen the score, and that's really the way we'll keep you up to date during the course of the day. 9 more weigh-ins to come during the rest of the afternoon, right through from now until 4:20, when we'll be dishing out that £25,000 winner's cheque. There's Ronnie. He's in third place, and at the moment he's with Liz Hobbs.
We certainly are. Ron seems to have one on the end of the line now. In fact, he's messing you about a bit there, Ron.
I've taken 1 section too many off my palm.
Right, what are you trying to do now? You're trying to get him out of the bank because whatever it is has come right into the reeds for cover.
Yeah.
Now you're currently lying in third position. You've got Martin Richards, Martin Walker in front. Oh, goodness gracious, you're having to extend that pole, and it really has taken you a real bender out there.
I made a bad mistake there. I took 1 section off too many because I've been fishing with 4 sections when I've been practicing. And because it's windy today, I've used 5 sections to get along the line. So I took it off at 4 sections like I'd been in practice.
So did that mean it didn't give you enough enough rod just to pull to push him out?
I couldn't pull it back in again.
Right, so now what have you got to do to retrieve it? Because after that bad mistake, you're having to really play the fish now.
Well, I've put my section on now, so it should be okay when it gets a bit more time.
Okay, he's certainly on now.
Yeah, just hope it stays on.
Now, so far we've got a 12-ouncer. There's been, I think it's 6 ounces and yours.
I think this is a small carp, actually. £1.5, £2 maybe.
You were a little bit concerned about weighing in because of the accuracy of the scales with smaller fish.
When you fish regularly, you get to know the weight of the fish, and that one there was about 3 ounces, and then the weigh-in said I only had 1 ounce, so I knew the scales were wrong. I got 2 ounces for it, but still thinking a little bit light.
In fact, that fish is going to be reweighed as we're talking now, so we should be able to get a ratification on that fish that you thought was slightly heavier. I mean, it's very difficult with the lighter fish, surely, because they're with weighing just 1 or 2 ounces.
That does make a difference to scales. You're not as accurate at the bottom end of the scales.
Okay, the fish has now been reweighed, Ron, and it's actually weighed in at 2 ounces, not 3, so that's certainly closer to what you'd expected.
Yeah, it's a bit better.
This one certainly isn't, though. This is quite a big baby on the end there.
It's a small carp, small compared to the average size in here. It's fighting well.
Right, he's hooked into what looks, yes it is, it's a carp, so that's why he was in trouble there. What had actually happened, he'd unshipped one too many sections, the fish was right in the margins and he could have actually netted it at one stage. He's actually gone on now, put another section on, and the fish is ploughing around all over the place. The elastic's out and he's got to take his time now, get this in the net. This is going to be an important fish for him. And he certainly knows that 1 ounce probably could win in 25,000, so he was right to get it reweighed.
Won't give in. Usually when you get them on the top like that, they come in.
Huh?
Usually when you get them on the top,
They give up.
Eventful morning for Ronnie Wilkinson. How long would this take, Andy, from the moment he hooks it to the moment he lands it?
It could take it literally up to 10 minutes if it's a very big fish. I don't think it is. It looks like it might be 2 or 3 pounds. It's difficult to tell from here, and it's not far away from netting now. You can see now, head's out the water. It's coming well towards him. Yeah, he's not far away from the net.
Certainly big enough to put Ronnie Wilkinson in the lead. I don't think there's much doubt about that.
Done.
Brilliant, and it's in the net and safe. That's the main thing.
Right, then Ron, good fish.
yeah, it's not a bad fish. It's a bit, it's smaller than the average size in here. They're normally about 3 or 4 pounds. I'm not going to risk lifting it out. I mean, I'm going to, in case it jumps out my hands.
This could be the all-important fish for you, though, couldn't it?
It could be if he doesn't fish very well, but I think there'll be a few more caught today.
Gave you a good run for your money, though, didn't he?
That one's the best fight I've had off a carp yet in here. It wouldn't be today as well, and I wanted to come in easy.
You could certainly say it's your own fault for making the mistake in the first place, couldn't you?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. I'll try not to do that again.
Well, as far as we're concerned, on this side of the bank, it looks like the fish are coming in on our side of the water, and you're certainly reeling them in, which puts you about into the lead, I'd say.
Well, I wanted to draw over this side of the lake, especially because the wind's coming towards you. The fish tend to follow the wind, so.
That is, of course, unless John Parrott has caught about another 43 skimmers in the meantime.
Yeah.
Don't think there's any doubt that Ronnie Wilkinson will be in front at this stage, and it certainly seems at the moment that bank is the favoured bank. So let's take a look on the other side. Now, if you're superstitious, you would not want peg 13, but Peter Garner has got just that. He's 39 years of age. He's travelled up here from his home in Surrey. He's a bit of a marathon runner, would you believe? Hopes to have the opposition on the run today. He's with Jackie Levy.
Well, Peter Garner actually qualified for today's final with the biggest weight ever in FishOMania, 67 pounds. He actually notched up in the qualifying heat. On that occasion, the draw was very kind to you. Has it been kind to you today, do you think?
Yeah, I'm quite happy with the draw. Yeah, it all depends how you can handle the pressure and how the spectators, effect they have on the fish, really. They push them out too far. It's very windy. Just a matter of getting your head down and just working at it, really.
Well, the thing is, you have actually got your lucky mascot with you. You've got your son here, very good at drawing usually. Do you think he's done his job this time?
Yeah, I was quite happy with the draw. Yeah, there was only 3 pegs left when he went to draw, And the best one in there I thought was 13, and he drew that, so I'm happy with that.
What do you think of your dad's chances today?
Well, he's got as much chance as anyone. If he just, well, use the best method on the day and he'll catch fish.
You have been his lucky star, though, over the past few matches, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. I drew for him last time and he won, so hopefully he'll do it again.
Explain to us what he's doing now. A little bit of a change of method. He's not using the pole anymore.
He's on the feeder, which is just a little plastic sort of case, which is blocked up at either end with a small weight, and you put maggots in, and it's used to get a long distance in your cast.
And you think that's perhaps a good move at this stage?
Yeah, because it's pretty hard to present the bait on a pole because of the wind.
It's fairly windy today. How do you think that's going to affect things? You actually know very much about this because you do a lot of fishing yourself, don't you?
Yeah, quite a bit. Well, the wind's going to make it hard. If it was sunny, I think there might have been a few more fish caught. It's going to be quite close. I think 25 pound would be the winning weight today.
Welcome to FishOMania 2. We're back at the Hallcroft Fisheries at Retford in Nottinghamshire for the richest event in the world of match fishing. It was just a year ago that Ian Turner won a thrilling battle to net the biggest prize in the history of the sport, the winner-take-all prize of £25,000. A rather slow start, though, this year. After the first weigh-in, only 3 have caught fish. Martin Riches with 12 ounces, Martin Walker 6 ounces, and Ron Wilkinson, that tiddler, just 1 ounce. But there's still a long way to go. 4.5 hours left of continuous fishing and 9 more weigh-ins. There's a big crowd here. It is a grey day. I can tell you that, in fact, since that first weigh-in, Ron Wilkinson from Thornaby has caught something much bigger. The fish certainly are beginning to bite all over the water.
Peg one.
It's a bream on peg 1. This is Phil Kovalich.
Oh,
Kovalchich. Oh, I can't get that pronunciation right. Let's have a look at him. That's a beauty, isn't it?
Do for me.
Yeah. How much do you reckon that weighs? That weighs?
2.5 pounds.
He gave you a fair run for your money as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I was frightened noisy.
Yeah, but you were more concerned that it was the wind that was weighing, you know, on the rod, not the fish. But that, I mean, he certainly is good.
He's not bad. I just lost one earlier, you see, because there's so much wind on, and when they're not big fish on this thick elastic, you can't keep attention on the fish. The wind's blowing the pole and you can't keep attention on the fish. With the barbless hooks coming off, you've got to be careful, you know.
You actually qualified on canals for this competition, didn't you?
Certainly did.
How different is that for what you're doing here today?
Very different.
Why?
Because the lines are much thicker, the hooks are much heavier, the whole thing's much heavier. I'm only catching very small fish.
So what are you using today? What's the breaking strain on your line?
The main line's 4 pound plus and the hook line's 3.3 pounds.
And what size hook have you got on there?
Hooks are 14.
14.
Forward. Sort of thing I'd never dream of using normally.
Why?
Because it's too big for canals, unless you're carp fishing on canals as well. For small fish, which is what I do, much too big.
Pulled you in a big one there today, isn't it, already?
Very good. Thank
well
you.
done.
Andy read it absolutely right, because the fish are beginning to bite here. And in the celebrity match, Rod Harrington, well, he's got a big one. He told us it was the size of Cliff Lazarenko. I think he was exaggerating a little. Rod
That is a fish.
WTC World #1.
That's all I'm worried about. I haven't played. Make sure you get it in the net.
Ridiculous, but there we are. Rod has struck with a big one.
Oh, I'm happy now.
Rounds of applause erupting all around us here at the Hallcroft Fisheries as fish after fish is landed. Andy, you read it absolutely right, didn't you? A slow start, but they're really starting to bite now.
Yeah, they're getting on the bait now, and the lads are doing it well. They're settling down, and they're going to get into a steady rhythm now. I'm surprised that there's been so many carp showed earlier. I thought the bream would come in first, and then they would get the carp. But it's great. Whatever they're catching, it's going to be, and it seems to be fairly consistent all the way round.
Andy Jennings there on peg 12. Comes from Wakefield in West Yorkshire, and I loved his entry on his little personal details where he says his favourite angler is his dad, Ron, and his dad will be his biggest fan today. There's Andy Jennings.
Absolutely. I reckon that's going to be another carp the way that's going.
Fishing tackle shop proprietor, which must be a big advantage, Andy.
Yeah, a lot of these guys that spend a lot of time on the bank are in the business. They either own little tackle shops or, you know, they're managers, and they get a lot of time to go fishing that way. They can work their fishing around their business. Yeah, I reckon that's a carp. It's taking too long for a skimmer. I'm sure that's going to be another carp. Main thing is that they have to take their time and get these fish in. It's no good bullying them in at this stage. The only time they're going to be bullying them in is on that final whistle.
Temptation must be to try and reel the thing in as quickly as possible, though, so you can get on with it again, mustn't
No,
it?
they're more professional than that. They know it's no good. You could break out on a fish like this. This is going to be another 2 or 3 pounder by the looks of it. They could break out and then they've wasted the 10 minutes that they was playing the fish. So they're going to play it out to the death.
Well, I tell you what, we didn't have much to show at our first weigh-in. There's no question that the second weigh-in there's going to be a great deal more to weigh.
Oh yeah, they're going to be treble, quadruple the weight. There's no doubt about that at all. The other thing is that they're fishing on quite small hooks. They're only allowed up to size 14s, so they can't bully the fish in. They've got to play them out and get them in sensibly. Here it comes. Yep, another carp. Looks like there's a bit of sweet corn in its mouth as well. I think I can actually see the bait there. It's a common carp. Brilliant. And the applause go up again.
It's lovely, that appreciative round of applause from an ever-increasing crowd here at the Hoarcroft Fisheries. Lovely stuff. Congratulations to Andy Jennings. He's landed his first fish of the day, and the competition is really hotting up here. Ronnie Wilkinson from Thornaby, he's landed a decent-sized fish already. The early leader in FishOMania 2. We've had weigh-in number 1. Weigh-in number 2 is coming up in around 10 minutes on FishOMania 2. 27 years of age, comes from Wakefield, wife Yvonne and his young son Alex. I'm not sure if Alex will quite understand what's going on here at FishOMania today. He's just a couple of years of age, so he probably won't yet. Now then, let's just take a look at where the fish are being caught here, shall we, this morning at Retford. Andy, show us where the majority of fish are being caught.
Well, they're actually coming along this bank, the majority of them. They're coming out here at about 11 metres on the pole, and there's been 1 or 2 caught from this corner. So it's great. There's a lot of fish being pushed there. This is where I thought that they would come out in that sort of area. It's going to be anywhere around from 1 to 8 with that wind pushing down there. It's beautiful. And I think later on the fish are going to move out and they're going to be caught in that area and that area. That's where I predict there's going to be fish come out. And I think the lads, once they get them in on the pole, they get them, but the odd guy's going to go out on the feeder and pull up a few more fish.
How are the guys going to be feeling on the likes of pegs 13, 14, 15 and 16 at the moment, which appear fishless at present?
Well, they're going to get on them eventually. The ground bait's going to work, and away they go, I'm sure. But Jan's probably got a better idea of what's going to develop on that, I should think.
Yeah, I think the fish are going to move around, as Andy suggested. The wind's very, very strong down towards that point where Robin is. He's one of the favourites. And Robin's no stranger to success, so he's going to be quietly confident. He's not caught yet, but he'll be looking towards a good burst at the end. And, you know, who knows? There's fish of 2 or 3 pound being caught, so it can change very, very drastically hour by hour. So, you know, it's anybody's at the moment. But it's looking very
Patience is
exciting.
a key then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Andy Jennings, the new favourite, and we gather that he may have one on at present. That's the scene. Let's go and join Jackie Levy and see what's happening.
Well, not a bad start for you. They've certainly come on now, haven't they? What do you reckon's on there at the moment?
Another carp.
Really is a game of patience playing the carping. Can you explain why? It's not as easy as landing a bream, is it?
It's a little bit bigger. It can easily break you. If it runs, it'll break me.
Seems to be really stretching the elastic and giving you a run for your money at the moment.
It is, but I'm shaking like mad.
When you qualify for this event, you had a couple of good catches, and then nerves really seem to get to you. Is that happening today, or are you feeling a bit more calm today?
Oh man, I'm not too bad, but I'm shaking a little bit.
It's a bit unusual, isn't it, for most anglers to have such a lot of attention at an angling match?
Yeah, it's nice for sport though. It's brilliant for sport.
Is that still on there?
Yeah, what's happening is now the fish is actually running in him on him a bit, so he's got to unship the pole. The elastic start retracting again back into the pole again, and he's playing a diamond here, but you can see him, he's physically shaking there. Good lad, look at that, how about that?
and you're feeding at the same time, that's a good sign, that is. He's got a fish on and he's still feeding. He's trying to keep them fish in his swim and not let the other competitors steal his fish, because that's also a time when you're playing a big fish, they can put some bait in, take your fish away from you. So he's playing a blinder there at the minute.
A bit of forward planning as well there.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The weigh-in is continuing, and as we expected, a great deal more to weigh in this second half-hourly weigh-in than there was in the first. These weigh-ins taking place right throughout the course of the day to keep you in touch with just who's in front and who's lagging behind. And as you can see, they're beginning to do the business now, no question of that. But Andy Jennings was a picture in concentration there, wasn't he, as well?
Absolutely brilliant. It's what it's all about.
Great moments. Back to Andy Jennings now.
Although the nerves are there, you can see that he's enjoying it as well, which is what it's all about.
And he's probably a little bit cold like us guys.
Yeah.
it's not the nicest of days, really.
Yeah, and it's off again, the fish.
Yeah.
It's on a run. He's got to put that pole together pretty rapidly.
Yeah, it's a dangerous time, that is.
Oh dear me. You can feel for him because you know the elastic's out at full stretch. The fish has gone off on another run, and he's got to get those sections back on again to give it a bit of line, otherwise he's going to break out on it.
Bad enough to lose a fish, isn't it? To lose it in the full gaze of TV cameras and a big crowd would be absolutely awful.
No living with it. No living with it. It's certainly a very lively fish, that one. You can see that he's had 2 or 3 sections on and off there like a yo-yo. It's back in again, quite close in. He's an experienced angler, he knows what to do with it.
Yeah, they sometimes have a sudden lunge as they get near the net, so he's had to cope with that, and he's done it quite well. He was struggling a bit with the pole with the wind blowing, getting the angle to get the pole sections on there, but well, he's a picture of concentration. He wants that fish and he's going to get it elsewhere.
And you can see in the background there, that's an indication of the wind here. You can see the reeds in the background blowing over. It's a really gusty wind here at Retford at present, and a few spots of rain as well. But at the moment, Andy Jennings' mind isn't on either of those things. It's just on landing this fish.
Andy, just explain to us, how close are you now to landing that fish?
I don't know.
It's putting up a little bit more of a struggle than the other one, I think.
Yes, there's a lot more pressure on this. A lot more pressure on the elastic. It's a bit bigger, is this? A little bit bigger.
Well, Andy Jennings hopes he's got a big one there. We'll find out very shortly indeed. They've been fishing now for just over an hour here at the Holcroft Fisheries. FishOMania 2, remember, it's £25,000 winner take all here today. There's nothing for coming second. And that's one of the reasons that a big crowd is here to see all the action. Andy Jennings is already in front with 4 pounds and 7 ounces, and he has another one here. That's going to give him a healthy early lead, providing all goes well. But Andy Little, it's taking him quite a while.
That is a very good fish. It's a lot bigger than I think we first anticipated. He's going to probably maybe 5-6 pound, could even be bigger than that. So he's going to take his time. He's going to get this fish in. As long as he lands it before the end of the match, it's going to count. That's the main thing. He's got a long time to go. They can take 10-15 minutes, and we've known people to play fish for even an hour. So, you know, you just don't know. He's not going to make any mistakes. Not far away now.
In second place at the moment. Well, there we can see. Over on peg number 1. That's Phil Kovalchek. Comes from Lancashire. Forklift truck driver. He'll be hoping he needs a forklift truck to take home this catch today. In second spot at the moment, he's just a couple of ounces ahead of Ronnie Wilkinson on the next peg. Jan, are you surprised that at the moment that only 6 of the 16 have landed anything at all?
Well, not really, no, because, as I said earlier, the changing the temperature, the change in the weather conditions has a dramatic effect on any kind of fishing, and this is no exception. There's a lot of pressure on the bank, and no, it doesn't surprise me at all. I think they'll all end up catching fish. I hope so, because it's not very nice to come and catch no fish, especially on such a prestigious event. But I'm sure at the end that they'll have a few fish in the net. But at the moment, Andy's he's got 4 pound odd. He's got this fish on now, which, as Andy suggested, is probably 4 or 5 pound, maybe even bigger than that.
Did you hear that roar go up from the crowd? Absolutely fabulous. That man will be a very, very pleased guy at the moment. Superb fish. It's about what we said. It looks like about 5 pound thereabouts. So that's going to give him a really healthy lead now. And it's 2 or 3 more of those, and he's going to be a very, very happy guy, I should think.
So who can catch up with Andy Jennings from Yorkshire? Well, Phil Kowalczyk, one of the pre-tournament favourites, is making a dash for glory. That's the sort of size fish that he certainly needs to challenge the man from Wakefield. But Andy Jennings comes battling back to stay in front with yet another sizable fish there as we approach the halfway stage of the competition. This is weigh-in number 4, and Jennings really must be establishing a pretty solid lead now. As soon as we get the result of that fish onto the scales, we'll see that Jennings has got in fact a 10-pound advantage over Phil Kowalczyk, with Ron Wilkinson way behind. But things can change very quickly in this sort of event. Just 1 or 2 big fish is all you need, and they're beginning to bite again.
They're waiting to weigh you in now.
Right now they're biting down at peg 13, which isn't proving unlucky at all for Peter Garner. It was chosen by his son, 13-year-old Joe. And there you can see Peter Garner hauling in very nice sized fish indeed. Comes from Coulsdon in Surrey. And he'll be pleased with that. He's had a quiet start to the day, but things picking up a little. But his neighbour on peg 12 is the man who's really making waves here. He's reeling them in non-stop. Another big carp for him. It's Peter Jennings, and he's had another fantastic half hour. When we had the latest weigh-in, in the half hour that we've just had, Peter Jennings had another 7 pounds or so worth of fish. Andy Jennings, I do beg your pardon, keep calling him Peter, confusing him with his neighbour. He had another 7 pounds worth of fish. So Andy Jennings, there we are, happy man at the moment, the way things are going. Once again, very much the man in form at present, and he has been right throughout the day. He was being the early leader, and really he's stretched his lead throughout. It's a massive task now for people to catch him. And Andy Jennings' carp have really helped him into a successful position. But let's take a look now at just what's been caught from each particular peg. You can see, for instance, on peg 1 that Phil Kowalczyk, he's had 1 fish in the last half hour, a 4 pound 3 ouncer. So he's up to 10 pounds 1 ounces. Quite respectable. 1 to 8 actually started off relatively quickly in some respects. Ron Wilkinson struck early. Poor old Dave Swain has yet to catch a fish all day. He really does need to land orca to have any sort of chance here. Stuart Yeoman, 6 pounds 4 ounces for the day, but nothing in the last half hour. Martin Walker, 2 pounds 2. Graham Sain has had a quiet day. So too Ronnie Brooks and Robin Morley, one of the pre-contest favourites. But then pegs 9 to 16, Martin Richards, Kev Richmond, also still waiting for his first fish. Tony Watley. Then just look at Andy Jennings, 22 pounds 4 ounces, streaks ahead. Peter Garner next to him, just that one big fish. They're 4 pounds 13 ounces in total. Ken Farrell, Sean Ashby, Mike Fennick, nothing significant as yet. So the top 8 looks like this. And it's Andrew Jennings in pole position, as you might say, 22 pounds and 4 ounces. That's more than twice the amount that his nearest rival has caught, with Stuart Yeomans in 3rd place. Of course, things did change dramatically in FishOMania last year. You remember then that Dickie Carr was well clear. He was collared close home on that occasion. We still have 2¼ hours of FishOMania 95 to come. Anything can happen, but there's no question that Andy Jennings is in pole position at present. There he is, 27 years of age. He's a tackle shop owner. He's married, his wife's Yvonne. He's got a very young son, just a couple of years of age, and, well, he's having an excellent day. They'll be enjoying it as well. He's, at the moment, at peg 12 and streets ahead. And that's peg 12, Andy.
That's peg 12, and either side of him, they are catching an odd couple of fish, and the fish are actually moving out very, very slowly. We saw Pete catch one side, and the other guys caught one the other side. I think eventually these fish are going to disperse in either direction. The wind's backing off a bit now, and I can think we can see quite a change over the next couple of hours.
I mean, Jan, he's obviously, because of the fact he's the man in form, he's the man catching the fish, he's attracted a big crowd around there. Now, I would have thought that was a disadvantage.
Well, it is. To have a lot of people behind you can actually push the fish away. And on top of that, the change in the weather conditions, you'll find that the fish are starting to move around and starting to search for food. It's getting to a good period in the day when the fish will start to feed. In the mid-afternoon, they like to start having a bit of a chew. But Andy's doing really well at the moment. He's fishing solid. He's feeding all the time. And even at this level, some of the top anglers are starting to drop their heads a little bit. I know there's still 2 hours to go, but they must know that Andy's streets ahead, and it must be very, very frustrating for them. Particularly Robin, who's, I think, been a little bit unfortunate. He's one of the favourites to win it, and he drew a peg down in that bottom point there, which actually won a match last night. So maybe somebody cleared the peg out. But Andy's feeding it really well, and I think that's a shot of his bait down there now. He's constantly feeding. We saw earlier he was feeding when he was playing fish, and that's very, very important, like Andy explained, to stop the fish moving away. But they're catching around him now, so maybe there's a good shoal of fish in front of those few anglers.
Okay. Should he be counting his chickens at this stage, or his carp at this stage?
No way. No. It can be caught very easily. Only needs 2 more fish, and they'll be up there with him. What he's got to do now is keep his head, which I'm sure he will do, and keep that sensible feed up, and get another couple of fish. If he can keep getting the fish every half an hour or so, he should really sail home.
Now, what about pegs? Well, virtually 1 through to 11. I mean, are they doing something specifically wrong, or is this just the luck of the draw?
I think it really depends Andy won't probably tell you now, but after the match you'll be able to investigate what he actually did, because you saw anglers putting bait out with the cups to get it very accurate. He may have devised some different type of bait. He might be fishing chopped worm, he might be fishing a different bait to what the other anglers are using, and it might have given him that edge initially and held the fish there. But I think it's fair to say that on a venue like this, it really does depend on which way the wind's been blowing for a period of time. And it seems to me, looking at the chart, that the fish are in that side of the lake at the moment. It may be that they'll move later, but at the moment that's the better half of the lake to be in.
That's Dave Swain, by the way, there, who has had a disappointing day. Is the understatement, isn't it? I mean, he said beforehand that he doesn't mind losing a match as long as he's caught some fish. Now he's having a very frustrating day, and I suppose in that situation he must just think there's absolutely nothing he can do about it.
Well, he's changed tactics now. He's gone on the swim feeder, and I would think that's probably not desperation tactics, but he's having to try to switch because they're not catching on the pole round there. And I would think he's really trying to pull something out of the bag, catch a couple of big carp and get him back in the hunt again. I don't know what he's doing now. I think he's caught his keep net or something.
Must be enormous pressure on him, and he's probably going to rush around and try all sorts of different things now just to try and get back in the frame.
Confirmation then of the results up to the 5th weigh-in. Andy Jennings, 22 pounds 4 ounces. The man from Wakefield, Yorkshire, a comfortable leader at the halfway stage, 12 pounds 3 ounces ahead of Kowalczyk, and Yeoman's just behind that. They're chasing hard. Still 2.5 hours to go here at Retford. Welcome to FishOMania 2. We're back at the Hallcroft Fisheries at Retford in Nottinghamshire for the richest event in the world of match fishing. Now, a year ago was Ian Turner who won the winner-take-all prize of £25,000. The man favourite for it this year must be Andy Jennings. At the halfway stage, he's more than 12 pounds ahead of his nearest rival, Phil Kowalczyk. 2.5 hours to go, though. Let's join our commentator, Jeff Stelling.
This is Dave Swain. Hadn't landed a carp, a bream, a roach, a sprat, or even a tadpole until now. And now he has. Much to the delight of his friends and colleagues who'd made the trip from Stockport. Absolutely nothing till then. Things are looking up, Dave. But from the minnow to the whopper, because on the opposite side here, well, there is absolutely no stopping Andy Jennings, the runaway leader. Is that Moby Dick this time? Looks rather like it. Yet another fish for Andy Jennings. He's giving nothing away about how he's doing it, this Yorkshireman, keeping his cards very close to his chest indeed. And I think you can already tell that this is going to be Andy Jennings' biggest fish so far. And look at that. And listen to the cheers. 10 to 12 pounds, something like that, we reckon that fish. What a day Andy Jennings is having. 23 pounds 2 ounces, and that's before that fish was counted. So great day for Andy Jennings from Peg 12. Dave Swain, well, as we said, his day is looking up. Just. He's been talking to Liz Hobbs.
Things certainly aren't looking up over here, are they, Dave?
Not really, no.
The lads have stuck. Look at this. 350 quid on the nose to win at 25 to 1. All your fans that have come down in a coach load,
I know.
that would have been £9,100. What's happening?
Nothing. It's,
They're not very happy, are they? Poor lads.
There's just no fish in the front of me. It's just frustrating watching everyone catch.
You caught £70 last time you were here. I mean, what is Andy doing that's so right that's not happening around this side?
I'm not sure. I believe he's feeding a lot of maggots and fishing meat over the top. I've just been doing the same for the last half hour and still getting no bites.
Not a good day then, really, is it, Dave?
Well, it's a good day.
I tell you who it isn't a good day for, though. Billy the fish.
No.
I reckon he's having a rotten day.
Well, it's right that Andrew put £800 on himself.
Oh, something like that. And if he took the odds at 20 to 1, he could be a very wealthy man by the end of the afternoon, couldn't he? Listen, I hope your luck changes for you.
Thanks a lot.
Well, it's changed. Fish is a fish is a fish. At least he's caught something. In fact, all 16 of our anglers have now caught something, I'm pleased to say, even though Dave Swain's isn't actually on that board. You can see that's pegs 1 to 8, and peg 1, Phil Kowalczyk, still going quite well with 10 pounds and 8 ounces, but really not too much being caught on that side at all. Robin Morley, though, has weighed in 2 pounds 7 ounces in the last half hour, which will make him feel a good deal better. 3 pounds 6 ounces. Dave Swain, a blank there, but as I say, his fish will register just on the next weigh-in. And 9 to 16, well, just look at that runaway leader. Andy Jennings there with 23 pounds, and that's before that previous fish, which we reckon is in the 10 to 11 pound region. Tony Watling there has landed 4 pounds and 11 ounces worth of fish in the last half hour or so, and still going relatively well as well is Peter Garner with 7 pounds 5 ounces in total. So the leaderboard looks like this. Andrew Jennings still well clear, and remember, let's just emphasise, another big fish to go on top of that, so he's going to increase his lead considerably. Peg number 1 still in second place. Tony Watling has moved into third, and Peter Garner is in fourth spot. Okay. That's Dave Swain proving that the size really does count. In this case, anyway. That's his first fish of the day, his only fish of the day.
You realise, anyway.
And it just about registered.
Not registered.
Well, Dave Swain has not had a particularly happy day. 3 ounces in total. He fills 16th position of the 16 competitors. Now, the man racing away with this, as he has been all day long, is Andy Jennings, and there has simply been no stopping him. This is his last weigh-in, 7 pounds 15 ounces in total, including a 6 pounds 5 ounce fish. He's caught with monotonous regularity, and he's well on his way to taking that fantastic cheque of £25,000. That's the situation then. Andy Jennings, £33 and 14 ounces. It's 3 times as much as Sean Ashby, who's in second place, £11 and 7 ounces, and Phil Kovalchik in third place with £11 and 2 ounces. Stuart Yeomans in fourth place. They're still fishing, of course, at the moment. Anything can happen. It's raining, it's cold, it's windy, but the competition goes on, and you never give up hope, no matter how far behind you are. I'm sure plenty of people will recall that Dickie Carr was in front till the dying stages last year, and he was pipped at the post. Will history repeat itself? Doesn't look like it at the moment. Andy Jennings looks to be on his way to that £25,000 cheque.
Welcome back to Retford and welcome back to FishOMania 2. Now, with just half an hour of this event left, Sean Ashby, a 29-year-old from Derbyshire, has just caught 2 enormous fish. And for the first time, we've got a real challenge to Andy Jennings. The first fish, a magnificent £7 12 ounces, the second not much smaller. And at weigh-in number 9, we had confirmation that that £7 12 ounce was the biggest fish caught in the competition so far. And so Ashby, his total up to £23 6 ounces with that absolute monster. So the question is, can Sean Ashby repeat what Ian Turner did last year and pip the leader at the post? The last half hour is going to be the tensest yet. £25,000 top prize, nothing for coming second.
Fantastic performance from him in that half hour, £11 and 15 ounces. And that's put him bang right back in contention just when we thought it was all over bar the shouting. And so, this is the situation at the moment. There are pegs 1 to 8, no real contenders in there. Stuart Yeomans, though, a respectable £12 and 8 ounces. The business end of the competition, well, that comes, as you can see, between pegs 12 and 15. Peg 12, Andy Jennings in front, £35 10 ounces. Peg 15, Sean Ashby, £23 and 6 ounces, but still catching. And the overall position, let's just clear it up, 1 to 8, Andy Jennings, £35 10, still £12 and 4 ounces clear of Sean Ashby. But since then, Ashby has caught at least 1 fish. We think he has another now. Andy Jennings has another as well. Well, it's Andy Little history virtually repeating itself. It's down to these 2 men.
Unbelievable, really. It's so exciting that I feel sorry for Andrew because he's head all the way. He was a lead. It was great. Now Sean's there and the pressure's on Andy now. He's got to catch some more fish. He's only really £10 behind. 2 good fish and he could be there.
Yeah, and terrible really for Andy, who's just got to sit and suffer, and the fish seem to have gone. There's virtually nothing he can do.
Yeah, the fish have moved up to where Sean is, and I've been watching from this podium up here what Sean's been doing, and he's really attacking the peg now. There's fish feeding, and he's maintaining them in his swim, and he's really pulled the stops out, and he's done a tremendous job. But poor old Andy's just got to sit there and hope he gets another fish to keep his nose in front. But tremendous finish.
£35 10 ounces we've seen since that weigh, and he has caught another. What sort of weight would you put that as?
I think it'd probably be around about £38, 37, £38 now. So Sean's got all on, but if he catches another big fish, he could be shaking him.
Yeah, he's had a fantastic run, no question about that. Has he done something different?
I think what's happened is that the fish have moved around. We said earlier it got warmer and the fish started to bite. Then it went really cold again, and I think the fish have moved up. Maybe the crowd had scared him away from Andy, I don't know, but certainly there's a shoal of fish moved in front of Sean and he's capitalised on that situation.
And Andy Little, you were saying that Sean was fishing very aggressively at the moment. He was really going for it.
He's actually putting a lot of bait in. He must feel that there's a lot of fish in front of him. He's going all out now to win this in the last 10 minutes or so. Absolutely brilliant.
And certainly he was £12 behind, but we know he's caught at least 1 and possibly 2 fish since then, so it really could be very tight indeed at the end.
There could be £8 or £10 in it at the moment.
And when we said at the beginning it was fishing's version of the shootout at the OK Corral, and that is certainly what's happening. What's he hoping for now, Andy?
Well, what he's doing, he's putting a lot of bait in there. What he's trying to do is work the fish up into a frenzy on the last few minutes, hoping just to get those couple of extra 5-pounders, and he'll be right there.
I suppose, Jan, one of the big temptations now, if he gets a fish, is to try and get it in and land it too quickly.
Well, he'll keep his eye on the clock. He knows what time the match is finished. He's got to play it in before the end of the whistle's blown, and he's going to give it all he's got. If he gets a big fish, he's going to really pressure it. Similar to what happened last year with Dickie, but poor old Dickie gave the fish too much and it broke the line. I think with this elastic that he's using here, he can give it a little bit more stick than a running line, and if he does hook one, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Fantastic finish. Well, what will Fisher 95 mean to the winner? Last year, of course, we were up at Mallory Park. Marvellous day. It was the inaugural FishOMania. Ian Turner actually failed to qualify for FishOMania 2 this year. Last year, though, it was very much his day. Ian Turner came from absolutely nowhere. He pipped poor old Dickie Carr at the post. And since then, well, he's had 12 months to remember.
I thought I'd got a good chance, especially the night before when I drew my peg, because I'd had a walk round on the Friday and I drew peg 15 and the wind was blowing straight up towards that end of the lake, and on such as Mallory the wind was an important factor, which it is on a lot of venues, but it was blowing straight at me, which meant it should have pushed the fish up to the end of the lake where I was. But actually on the morning of the match, when I got round to my peg and saw it had gone flat calm, I was a bit dubious to see what happened, but it worked out all right in the end. It was like about an hour and a half into the match before I realised that Dickie was so far in front. But it was very slow for me. It was very slow for everybody actually, bar Dickie Carr. But the thing is, I just kept working at it, putting bait in and hoping the fish would come onto the feed, which eventually they did do. I thought it would get better as the match went on, and that's how it worked out as it did. It got better as the match went on. As the feed went into the water, the fish come onto the feed. I made a few variations to what bait I put in after the first hour, the hour and a half. I was looking for carp to start with. The real turning point regards winning it was the one carp I actually caught about, 4:15, 3/4 of an hour from the end. I was there, I was catching steady all the time, like the last 2 hours, but I wanted that one bonus fish to boost my weight up to the required, what I required, like. And I got one, I think it was £5 something. And £5 something, one fish, was a lot easier than catching 7 other fish. Once I got that £5 carp, and I kept catching the skimmers, I know I was in with a real good chance then. One of the lads actually said to me, it was just before the 4:30 weigh-in, I asked him how far I was behind, and he says £7. Well, I know I got that one carp, which I thought was, what, £5 or £6, it was £5 something. So when it come to, I was only like a pound behind with half an hour to go, and I was getting bites and fish quite regular then. So I know, other than Dickie getting another big fish which would have wiped me out completely, and I was in a good chance. I was more nervous after the match than what I was while I was actually fishing the match. It was a smashing day anyway, whether I'd won or lost. It was brilliant just to take part in the actual match, but to actually win it, was just unbelievable.
That was last year, Ian Turner, 12 months ago. This is this year, and it's a case of the 4-minute warning now, because they're counting down. Andy Jennings in front, Sean Ashby trying to close. Let's have a quick word with the long-time leader, Andy Jennings. He's with Jackie Levy.
Andy, I think it's fair to say that you dealt with your nerves very well all day long. How are they holding out now?
They're not bad. Just holding out.
You're into another fish just at the minute, but you've had a quiet patch. Is it possible that the big fish have moved down now to Sean Ashby, who's had a couple of carp in the last half an hour?
Yeah, they could have done, but I just hope I get this one.
What do you think you've got on there now, bearing in mind that could be worth £25,000, that fish?
It's another carp.
Well, it really is tense. And there's the man who has been closing relentlessly in the last hour. Sean Ashby, he's with Liz Hobbs.
He is. It's the man from Derby. He's 29 years old and there's £25,000 at stake. Sean, you're giving him something to worry about down the bank.
I think so, yeah, at the moment.
It was an amazing weigh in the last one. You had one fish at £7 14 ounces, I think it was, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, you've just missed a strike on that one again. They're certainly biting well up this end of the river, aren't they?
Starting to come on a bit. Had a bad first out, well, bad first 2 hours really. But then again, I had £1.9, I think, after 2 hours.
Yeah.
But the last 2 hours have been very good.
Why do you think that's changed so much? Have you changed what you're actually doing?
Just put a lot more bait in.
That's it. You've just struck another one. Have you got any idea what's in the net already? Do you know what you've got to go for?
I've got about 20 odd pound, I think, at the moment.
And since the last weigh in, you've caught another couple. There's one on the end at the moment. Nope, don't think so. In fact, it looks to me like both of you have got something right now.
Yes, that does look to be the situation. Andy Jennings, the long-time leader, he looks to have got something as well. Andy Little, if they don't land these fish before 4:20 on the dot, I take it they don't count.
They don't count. Unlike most matches where they're allowed a certain amount of time afterwards, FishOMania, they've got to land them before the whistle.
So it's a real race now to land these two fish.
Yep, there's going to be a bit of bullying in. This is Andy's fish. Oh, nearly in the net and away. Yes, no, he's got it. Good lad. What a roar!
I think that was a real total relief.
Oh,
total relief.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, can you imagine the agony, Jan, had he lost that?
Making my hands jammed here. Landing there fishing.
But here's Sean Ashby. He's not about to give up, is he? He's about to land one as well.
Yeah. A lot of bullying in here. He's got it in, but it's not going to be enough. No, it's not enough.
Valiant effort though from Sean. I mean,
Absolutely
he's come from
fabulous.
nowhere and got into the frame, and he's done ever so well.
There's Andy Jennings, and it looks like that could be the bigger of the two. And, well, if there were any doubt, and there've been doubts certainly for the last hour or so, well, that should have settled in Andy Jennings' nerves. I don't know. He says he was calm, but I'll tell you what, Jan and Andy and myself, we haven't been calm, have we?
Not for sure, crikey. Brilliant.
He looks fairly composed there. I think he's happy.
Yeah.
2 minutes to go now, Andy. Not enough time.
No, that's it. That's it now. There's really very little Sean can do. That's clinched it, I'm sure. Absolutely brilliant.
And you have to say, in fairness, and Andy Jennings has led all day long, it would have been so cruel.
He's fished ever so well. He's fished very, very well. Very composed, got the feeding right, steadily caught. Had that bit of a blank period, but he's come back now. That's it. Look, you can see the look on his face. He knows he's done it.
And of course, there's the hooter.
That's the hooter.
There's the hooter. Big smile on his face. Punches the air. Andy Jennings believes he's done it. We believe he's done it as well. The final weigh-in still has to come. But it looks like that young man is £25,000 richer. Well, in fact, £35,000 richer, because Harry the Fish has a tear in his eye at present. Andy Jennings having had £500 on himself at 20-1 with poor old Harry. So it could be a £35,000 payday for Andy Jennings. Here's Ashby's final weigh-in. Andy Little doesn't look enough.
No, not enough. Definitely not enough.
It's been a valiant attempt.
Yeah.
It'll certainly be second position for Sean Ashby.
Oh, for sure. Gallant effort.
And he's got the biggest fish as a consolation.
Yeah.
But it won't be a consolation, will it?
Not a great consolation.
£3.14.
So, Sean
He
Ashby.
was smiling. He was smiling at the end, and that's what Dickie did last year.
I think that Sean Ashby,
it
it had got to the stage, hadn't it, where Sean Ashby had no real expectations of catching Andy. And it looks like Andy Jennings will be taking the Luty back to Wakefield with him. And you can't say he doesn't deserve it. It's been a fantastic effort. He's really led from the first half hour onwards. He hasn't been giving too much away about his tactics down there.
It'd be interesting to see what he did, actually.
Well, Sean looks pretty disappointed, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Came here as one of the pre-contest favourites. And I'll tell you what, he's put up a great struggle here. But not enough, we don't believe. That looks to be the man who's picking up the cheque of £25,000 for winning FishOMania 2. Andy Jennings. He comes from Wakefield in Yorkshire. He'll be going back there as a wealthier man this evening. His wife Yvonne will celebrate with him, so will his young son Alex. He's a tackle shop owner, Says his favourite angler is his dad, Ron, and I think his dad will be celebrating as well with him. Tom Pickering, Dennis White, and Ivan Marks, those he says that he's followed in the footsteps of. He'd been practising up here, he says, and practice makes perfect. Well, it has done today, breaking into a trot.
He's running to find out.
Yeah, I think nature's calling at the moment. Well, there are some things that a man simply has to do, and even £25,000 wouldn't make him not go, I suspect. Well, there's the valiant loser. Well, we shouldn't say loser, the valiant runner-up, because he's come second out of not just 16, he's come second out of 3,200. FishOMania 2, it's been another great success. Don't think there's any doubt about that at all. Sean Ashby from Derbyshire. Well, his girlfriend Sally can be proud of him. He hasn't quite lifted the big prize today, but he's done everything but. And the presentation is about to be organised, as you can see. The crystalware coming out. The cheque will be being signed, the T's crossed and the I's dotted, and it will be being made out to one Andy Jennings. And this is the moment that he knew. The klaxon goes, and it had all been worthwhile. He hadn't shown too much emotion throughout the day, had he? But he has now. Now then, our next award here, it's a trophy that goes to the man who's landed the biggest fish of the day. And he came actually very close indeed to taking the big prize as well. Didn't quite manage that, but Sean Ashby does take the prize for the biggest individual fish of the day at £7 12 ounces. And our congratulations to Sean for that. It was a tremendous effort, no question about that. Now then, we come to the big one then. It's the cheque for £25,000 for the individual event. We're going to give you the 3-2-1 here. Remember, it is, I'm afraid to say, from the point of view of the third and second men, a case of winner take all. It was £25,000 or nothing, but nevertheless, it's been a memorable day for all 16 anglers who've taken part today. And our congratulations and commiserations in a way go to the man who's finished in third place, Stuart Yeomans. Yeah, great effort by Stuart as well, and a tremendous effort, as we said, by the man who, well, kept us on tenterhooks right until the closing stages. He came with a brilliant run inside that last hour and a half, got very close indeed to Andy Jennings, but not quite close enough in the end. In second place, it's a gallant Sean Ashby. And so we have the winner of FishOMania 2 and a cheque for £25,000. He's a canny Yorkshireman. He's been keeping his cards very close to his chest indeed during the course of the afternoon, but he's about to tell us just how he's done it. £25,000 then, the winner of FishOMania 2. Deserving winner as well, Andy Jennings. £43 and a couple of ounces in the end, the winning weight, and well, it was a great performance from a man who's been in front virtually all day long and kept his nerve brilliantly in the end.